Blackburn. I'm so excited to see so many people here. This is amazing. Thank you guys so much for showing up tonight on a Sunday night and letting me try to take your mind off the world for the next hour or two. As you guys know, this is our 10th show, or maybe you don't know that, but this is the 10th time we've done the Hour of Power. And tonight we're adding on Story Smash, the storytelling game show, after. This is the third or fourth time we've done that, and it's going really well. Danny Zuker is back to judge, Mark DiCarlo is here, and Blanca Patch is here, and they'll all be judging. And guess what? You guys are all invited to stay. So stick around, you guys, for the Story Smash, the storytelling game show after the Hour of Power. This is going to be a lot of fun. As we've done, like I said, the last 10 weeks, I have 4 storytellers come on the show, and these people have all been on the Storyworthy podcast, and they're here tonight as well. And each one of them, therefore, has been thoroughly vetted. You heard me. There are going to be some great stories. I can't wait for you guys to hear them. Listen, really, I know you guys have a lot of options when it comes to Zoom shows, and I'm glad you chose mine. Thank you for being here. We're going to start in just a minute. I'm going to let some other people park. And then we're going to start the show. So you guys, remember, you can always chat there in the chat room. And I'll be putting up different people's Twitter addresses, websites, and stuff like that. So you guys, please participate, hang out with us. And again, thanks for being here. Yay. All right, you guys. The first talent coming today is one of the hardest working comedians around. I am not kidding. He has appeared on HBO and Comedy Central. He's performed at the Laugh Factory here in Hollywood and at Caroline's on Broadway. He travels overseas for the troops. That seems to be a reoccurring theme, doesn't it? A lot of comics do that, and so does this guy. And he also travels extensively overseas on cruise ships pre-pandemic. His clips are played daily on SiriusXM. Plus, he has a nonprofit called Love and Laughter, which brings free shows to the cancer support community. How fabulous is that? Please welcome, you guys, my friend, Jason Love.
Thanks for that big intro, Christine. I appreciate it. I also won the 6th grade spelling bee, so don't forget that. I have a short story. So what I want to do is share something that just happened. It happened 2 days ago. So this is a true story. And then I'll tell you my other one, and the whole thing will be less than 10 minutes. But a couple of days ago, I got to do an actual radio show, like the old days, like BC, before Corona. And I go in, and he's asking me what it takes to be a comedian. And what I should have done was just said something funny, kept it moving, but no, this is I felt like it was like Inside Actor Studio, and I was going to share about my process. Well, you see, James, and I said something like, just comedians are hyper vigilant. We notice everything. 2 hours later, same morning, I'm walking out of the store, and my mind's busy, and I open up the door to the wrong car, look like mine. I sit in the driver's seat. And as soon as my butt hit the seat, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. And I look over, and there's a teenage girl waiting for her mom on her phone. She goes, ugh. I'm like, ugh. I have my mask on. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is just the universe getting back at me. You see, James, it's about attention to detail that makes a comedian. Okay, my story. I am married to a woman. Surprise. She's fantastic, and we have this weird connection. It's strange. We always finish each other's sentences. I call her like E.T. We're E.T. and Elliot. Like I'm Elliot, or I'm E.T. Ouch. And we dream the same dreams sometimes. We'll text each other at the same minute after not talking for 2 days. Just weird things. And one day we were on a date in Solvang. And we spent the whole day there, but I'm like Johnny Granola Head, surprise again. And I eat my own stuff. Even when I work on the cruise ships Christine was talking about, I bring a bag of food on with me. And so when she sits down to eat, like at these Danishes and stuff, I just keep her company, have a tea. But then it got to be late in the day, and what we did not know about Solvang is that whole place just wraps up at 5 p.m. and it's over. So 5 p.m. comes along, I haven't eaten all day, and we start looking frantically for something for me to eat. And it was like Swedish meatball stuff I wouldn't eat. I'm like Rain Man. I would probably die before I ate this stuff, and I put that to the test. So I started to get angry. They call it hangry, but when a guy who, with me, like 150 pounds, has no blood sugar, it's like extra angry. And Patty goes, so what is it that you want to eat? And I go, I want an apple. And she goes, no, like tell me what color apple. And she held my hand, and I go, oh God, are we gonna do this? And I go, I want a red apple, knowing there's no such thing as an apple in Solvang at 5 o'clock. So I let it go. We forgot about it. We're going around the corner, and take this for what it is. I don't know how things work. We walk around the corner. There's a mission. Oh, well, let's go to the mission, which was closing. We weren't going to make it on time. We turn the corner. Lo and behold, the one barren tree in the parking lot with a red apple hanging from it. And we looked at each other. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because when we held hands, she said, you got to manifest it. You got to really want it. Like Tinkerbell, if everyone believes. I don't know how the universe works. Clearly, that tree had been there a long time before I asked for it, but one red apple, and I got up on the hood of a car, and I plucked it down, and I ate the red apple that I had dreamt of, and I dreamt into existence. So I don't know. I don't know. You take it for what it's worth, whatever your beliefs are. But whether there's lots of universes happening at the same time, but I think I live with a sorceress. That's the conclusion that I came to. And that's my story, Christine. I'm sticking to it.
All right, you guys, Jason Love, there he is. You're so funny. Jason, where are some of the most exotic places you've gone on the cruises that you've worked on?
Well, I end up in the Caribbean 9 times out of 10, and I'm not really a Caribbean guy. So I don't even get off the ships. I just enjoy everyone else getting off. Remember cruise ships? But the nicest place, if you're going to go to one place on a ship, go to Alaska. Do the inner passage. It's like Narnia, Christine. Like, there was one time we got off, and I'm looking at the ice coming down the mountain, and the clouds get stuck in the trees, and I was sitting on the dock, and I'm like, man, I turned to this couple. I go, it's like we're in a postcard. I go, what do you think the altitude is? And he like looks at the ocean beneath our feet. I'm pretty sure it's sea level, jackass. Yeah, there it is, right beneath your feet.
That is so funny. And listen, just for good measure, a message just came in here from my sister. Wow, is that guy handsome? So there you
go. Oh, bless your sister.
You got a fan in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my friend.
Oh, I'll put that in my pocket for a rainy day. Thank you.
All right, you guys, check it out. We've got another guy coming up in just a second here. But as you see, the polls are open. If you want to answer any of these silly polls, you're welcome to do that. And remember, keep checking the chat box. There's a lot going on in there as well. All right, you guys, this next talent coming up. Check this out. I know some interesting people. I got to tell you, I know some very interesting people. This guy has been a laboratory scientist, a small business owner, a stay-at-home dad, and an entrepreneur. He currently works part-time as a trust administrator. He's a Moth Story Slam winner, which is saying something right there, and he performs all over Los Angeles and New York when he's not in lockdown. He's published numerous stories for many online publications, and he would like to add that he's looking for representation. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, put your hands together for Stuart Jacobson! Stuart!
Pretty sure it's sea level, jackass. Yeah, there it is, right beneath your feet.
That is so funny. And listen, just for good measure, a message just came in here from my sister. Wow, is that guy handsome? So there you
go. Oh, bless your sister.
You got a fan in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my friend.
Oh, I'll put that in my pocket for a rainy day. Thank you.
All right, you guys, check it out. We've got another guy coming up in just a second here. But as you see, the polls are open. If you want to answer any of these silly polls, you're welcome to do that. And remember, keep checking the chat box. There's a lot going on in there as well. All right, you guys, this next talent coming up. Check this out. I know some interesting people. I got to tell you, I know some very interesting people. This guy has been a laboratory scientist, a small business owner, a stay at home dad, and an entrepreneur. He currently works part time as a trust administrator. He's a Moth Story Slam winner, which is saying something right there, and he performs all over Los Angeles and New York when he's not in lockdown. He's published numerous stories for many online publications, and he would like to add that he's looking for representation. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, put your hands together for Stuart Jacobson. Stuart.
Thank you, Christine. Now, I was 27. I was between careers. I took a part-time temporary position demonstrating luxury kitchen tools at department stores and trade shows. This was in New York City in the 80s. Now, at the same time, my wife was a senior in medical school. She planned to enter a residency program in a Western state, and we'd soon be leaving New York. Now, during these days, my wife and I considered ourselves to be excellent cooks. We took great pleasure in hosting intimate dinner parties where we would, or at least we believe we would, blow away our guests with our culinary prowess. Now, in my work, I would show up at what would now be termed as an internal pop-up. This would be a station composed of a couple of tables, the product on display and in use, an advertising banner, and the means to cook and give away tasty food made using the food processor, the pasta machine, or our gelato maker. Now, the people I worked for had good taste. They gave us excellent ingredients that we cooked up, and this attracted a soon-to-be gratified audience. It just smelled really good. Customers liked it. They literally ate it up. And the employees loved us because we made their job easier, and we slipped them food, Now, I mean to say that this was an easy and especially pleasant job. Now, for about a week in late winter, I was working the pasta machines display at the Herald Square Gimbel's store. Remember Gimbel's? Doesn't exist anymore. The floor manager was a kindly and patient woman named Mrs. Infantino. Now, at this point in my social development, I had, despite having grown up among many Catholics in Queens, little actual knowledge of the Roman Catholic religion. I did not understand the religious connotations of her name, Mrs. Infantino. The infant, the all-knowing, the generous, the understanding, the affectionate, the compassionate, the comforting, loving baby Jesus. I was also unaware that it was a symbol of man's highest spiritual aspirations, the naif, the innocent one, the pure, and the unadulterated. This awareness would come much later when I took a liking for Renaissance and Baroque art. Back then, I just thought it was another beautiful, melodious Italian name, no different than Parisi, Pucciarelli, or Masaccio. Now, the Gimbel staff set up by our cooking station a pyramid-shaped display composed of boxes and boxes of the pasta machine. There must have been about 55 machines stacked up there, in addition to more on our tables and on the regular display. Now, I noticed that one of the machines had a Macy's barcode on it. Now, this was in the relatively early days of barcodes, so there was no universal product code. Just didn't exist at that point. Rather, there was just a Macy's sticker. This barcode would not be recognized by the Gimbel scanner. Now, immediately I surmised that this machine had to have been in Macy's store inventory, and it was likely not sold during the recent Christmas season and probably returned to the warehouse where it was carelessly shipped to Gimbel's. I liked this machine. It made a good product. I wanted to use it to impress our guests at our dinner parties. I also wanted to be a high-status, cutting-edge gadget guy, a bit of a future-oriented show-off, like Willie Loman's boss in The Death of a Salesman, a big shot. And that mislabeled machine spoke to me saying, "Take me, I'm yours. Don't let this opportunity pass by." Thrown into this mix, the thrill of pulling off a baby heist and with its positive pecuniary outcome. I was staring at a chance to acquire a $295 machine for about $850 in today's bucks for nothing. So during a slow period, I took the Macy's machine and placed it under the table where I worked and hatched a plan in my head. This was my plan. When Mrs. Infantino came by on her daily rounds, I took her aside and showed her the machine with the Macy's tag. I told her a cock and bull story about my Aunt Sarah. There was no Aunt Sarah. I created her on the spot. But I began my explanation with a plea for her to indulge me with a degree of forgiveness, another Catholic practice of whose existence I had been totally ignorant, and yet I was about to abuse. I acknowledged that I was pathetically humiliating myself, but that I had a beloved, yet insistent and overbearing Aunt Sarah, who'd been given this machine but didn't want it. And when Aunt Sarah heard that I would be demonstrating gimbals, she demanded, in her inimitable way, that on my way to work, I take it over to Macy's, which is about a block away, and get a refund. Now, Mrs. Infantino, if you knew Miss Aunt Sarah, you too would be much rather be humiliated in front of a stranger than to say no to her. I continued indicating that I had already told Aunt Sarah that if I took it to Macy's without a register receipt, I would be accused of shoplifting. Aunt Sarah seemed to understand I thought I was off the hook, but no. She wanted me to take it to Gimbel's and request a store credit. So, Mrs. Infantino, here I am. And you know what she says? She says, well, the item wasn't purchased at Gimbel's, so I'm sorry, I can't issue credit. I totally understand, I told her. Okay, Stuart, then what can I do for you? Mrs. Infantino, when I walk out of the store with the machine to take back to Aunt Sarah and no receipt, I don't want to be stopped by security to get accused of shoplifting. She gives me a blank stare, and before she can say anything, she gets called away to another station. Now, I tend towards the Asperger side of the spectrum. Here, this means that I'm not good at interpreting blank stares. I thought to myself, was she planning to have me fired, arrested, frog marched through ladies' lingerie? Or was she simply preoccupied with some other matter in her department, and I was just mentally filing away my information? Nonetheless, I worked the rest of my shift in a state of unease, fretfully counting the remaining minutes. I closed at my station, and right on time, a world-weary, poker-faced security guard approached me. You, Stuart? I nodded, yeah. Come with me. I put on my coat, grabbed the pasta machine, and followed him to a freight elevator. As we took it down to the ground floor, he peered at me while I avoided eye contact and stared at the floor. We exited to a drab, coffee-colored, linoleum-lined hallway. You know, the type of corridor where the floor linoleum comes up about 4 feet up the wall and is bracketed by cheap, thin linoleum wainscoting. And we walked past storerooms, lockers, and smoke-filled break rooms. Remember smoke-filled breaks? I followed him, and occasionally he looked looked back at me, which was unnecessary because there was no known escape route. After what seemed to be an eternity, he stops by the door and opens it. I was expecting him to lead me into an internal conference room where I'd be interrogated, and then my knuckles would be broken with a hammer, like in the movie Casino, which wouldn't come out for about another 10 years. Instead, he opens a windowless door and then exits onto the street. Have a good evening. My world flipped and I was free. Nonetheless, I ran, stumbling to the subway, expecting him to call me back. At home, my wife is simultaneously impressed and disappointed. She likes the chutzpah I showed by making up the Aunt Sarah story, but is worried that I might be embarking on a life of larceny. I tell her that this is a one-time thing, even though I've never been a scout, cub, boy, or eagle. So I invite friends Mike and Madeline over for pasta dinner a few nights later. I wanted to show off my new acquisition. When they arrive, our apartment smells of bolognese ragu. Got my semolina flour measured out and my eggs shelled and ready to go. I start the machine, pour in the ingredients. We watch as the tagliatelle is extruded through the brass plate at the end of the machine. It hums along nicely as I cut in guillotine motion 6-inch strands of noodles. Then I hear an unpleasant high-pitched grinding sound. Next, the machine stops. Embarrassed to the point of mortification, I take the machine apart, clean it out, plug it in, add more flour and egg. This time the machine doesn't even come on. It sat there, mocking me. The machine was broken, and so was my career as a cutting-edge gadget guy. Madeline turns to me and says, you know what, Stuart, these things happen. The sauce smells great. We can go over to First Avenue and buy some fresh pasta. Then she adds, tomorrow you can take the machine back to the store, show them your receipt, and get a new one. This plain common sense and calm reasonability of the suggestion doesn't sit well with me. I'm visibly perturbed. I silently pray that they think my unease is due to my embarrassment about the machine, not about there being no receipt. I lifted it. My wife, who was enjoying all of this, especially my discomfiture, pipes in. That's right. He will get his justice for himself. Why don't you come back for homemade pasta next week? Now I am truly fucked. I did this to myself. Why did I have to steal that stupid piece of shit machine that I didn't need? So the next day, I go to a different Gimbals, the Uptown branch, where nobody, especially Mrs. Infantino, knows me. I bought a pasta machine, spending $295, or about $850 in today's dollars. Money that I really did not want to spend. I now know, and upon some reflection, that I not only took advantage of Mrs. Infantino's generous nature, but in light of her good name, that I committed an act of profanity. I paid my penance for this, but for a decade later, there's a part of my soul that continues to hurt. Thank you.
All right. Wow, Stuart, you're such a good person. That's so neat that you still think about it. I like that, you know?
Well, thank you. Thank you. I wish a lot of people thought I was a good person, but thank you.
I think a lot do. Thank you, Stuart, so much. It's awesome.
Okay.
Listen, you guys, remember, this month is my 10-year anniversary of Story Worthy, and I just celebrated 630 episodes with Kevin Nealon. He's on the show right now, so you can find that at storyworthypodcast.com. You know all that good stuff. And there's my sister messaging in again. Quit messaging from Pittsburgh. I heard you. She said, is that a velvet collar? Yeah, it is. It's not a collar. It's a necklace. You're perverted. So anyway, last week, you guys, when you last joined me, and by the way, you can find all these stories over on YouTube on my channel, Christine Blackburn. So you can always go back and hear the first part of the story if you missed it. But let me just fill you in. When I last left you guys, I was on my first day in the Peace Corps in the Kingdom of Tonga in the South Pacific, and a pig had just run off with my toothbrush. Okay, you're all caught up. So the day after that, the very next day after that, I write a long letter to the Peace Corps director who's on a main island, and I tell her that I need a new toothbrush, like, immediately, and because a pig took it, and if I could possibly get a can of Raid. Because if you remember in the last story, I talked about the latrine that I only went into once because it was full of thousands of cockroaches, and I peed all over myself. So anyway, I need Raid, and I need a toothbrush. 3 weeks later, on the slow boat, a package arrives, and it is from the Peace Corps director. And in the package is a can of Raid and a toothbrush. Now, the toothbrush has hard bristles, but I haven't brushed my teeth in 3 weeks, so I'm pretty flexible. The Raid had better work because I had been going to the bathroom inside the church on the island that had the only flushing toilet on the entire island, and I was bound to get discovered sooner or later. I mean, I feel guilty a little bit, like Stuart. I feel guilty about pooping in that church, but I'm not perfect. So now I want to use the Raid on the latrine. You know, I'm going to get back at these cockroaches, but I have to do it, you know, kind of on the sly, because I can't tell my Peace Corps, you know, my homestay family, I can't say, I'd like to clean your toilet, Taufa Khaleesi, and I'm going to use Raid. You know, I couldn't do that, so I had to wait until there was a time that everybody in the village would be sleeping, or very, very quiet, or not out in the village, but in their homes and sleeping. And that would be on Sundays, because on Sundays in Tonga, you get up in the morning, you go to church, then you go back and feast, and then you sleep the whole afternoon, and then you get up, you go back to church, and then you feast again, and then you sleep. So I knew Sunday would be the perfect day to clean the bathroom, as it were. So Sunday rolls around, and it's 1 p.m. in Tonga. And sure enough, it is very, very quiet in the village I'm living in with 67 people total. I'm 68. Back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they're probably watching a Steeler game and getting ready to, cheer them on and drink Iron City beer. And not me. I'm in the South Pacific, and I'm going to fuck up some cockroaches. So I take the raid, and I walk toward the latrine, and I open the coconut frond door. And by the way, in the daytime, that's not so scary. And I take the raid, and I just put the whole thing all the way down into that black hole of nothingness, and then I throw the can in to get rid of the evidence. And I don't hear anything. And I'm thinking, these cockroaches are messing with me. And I back out of the latrine into the bright sunshine of Tonga, and then I hear it. And all of a sudden, these cockroaches, I mean, thousands of cockroaches started coming out of the latrine through the roof. And they would come up and over the roof, and that's like a tin roof, and then they would come over the sides of the latrine, and they spread out into the grass in front of me like a black blanket. It was so crazy and so creepy, yet it was also so fascinating. And of course, nobody was around to say what the hell's going on. And I'm just like watching this, like it's like the creatures from the black latrine. But then all of a sudden, these chickens that are in the village, they start coming over to the cockroaches, and they start pecking the cockroaches. And now they're eating the cockroaches. And I say, no, chickens, do not eat those raid-filled cockroaches. I mean, all I can think of was, Jesus Christ, the Tongans are going to eat the chickens, which are going to be poisoned from the raid. And their eggs could be poisoned. And the eggs are like very valuable on this island. The chickens are very valuable. In fact, chickens are so valuable in Tonga that they put a chicken on the back of their coins. Yeah, there's a chicken on the coin. And what is going to happen? All these chickens are going to die, and I'm going to be responsible for wiping out the entire island of Otea in Tonga? I mean, what kind of Peace Corps volunteer is that? Well, the good news is the chickens did not get sick. And the bad news is I did not even make a dent in the cockroach problem in the Kingdom of Tonga. But the other good news is that I got my first choice of placement to serve for the next 2 years in the capital city of Nuku'alofa on the main island, where there's about 12,000 people, and there's electricity, and there's water. So that's what I got. And if you come back next week, well, guess what? I will tell you another Peace Corps story. Yeah, one more. I got one more in me. That's it. And we move on. New topic. We're moving on. By the way, did I tell you I went to Big Bear the last couple of days? I went to Big Bear here in California. A lot of people in the Big Bear. A lot of people not wearing masks. A lot of people not social distancing. And somebody called me a liberal from down the hill. You goddamn liberal from down the hill. So there you go. Anyway, you guys, I'm super excited this next person is here to perform for us. And he's going to be in the after show as well when we play Story Smash. He's a writer, and he was the executive producer on Modern Family, which recently just wrapped its 11th season, if you can believe that. He was on that the entire run of the show, which is fabulous. And he's also author of this book I hold in my left hand. It's called He Started It, My Twitter War with Donald Trump. And it's available on Amazon right now. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for my friend, Danny Zuker.
Well, thank you, guys. That's a great story. You both are telling fantastic stories. And I'm going to wing this story. I had no story prepared, but I was trying to think, what have I been thinking about during this quarantine? And the thing I have been thinking about most is sort of my old destructive relationship that continued on and off into my 30s. And her name was Cocaine. I quite loved cocaine. And it really was love at first sniff. You know, I remember seeing, because I grew up in a household where people were, you know, we were all, it was like the ordinary people household. There was like that much emotion. It was very like, you know, everything was, very cold and dry, and constantly looking to get my daddy's approval. Never really did, but that's what made me a comedy writer, and that's another story. But as a result, I was a very straight arrow. I was drunk all but one time in ninth grade, and felt like I had a hangover all the way to my senior year. So I never did anything again. And then at the end of my senior year, my folks split. So the pressure was off me, and I got to college. And the cocaine was flying. This is the year of the cocaine was 1983, and it was ubiquitous. And I had always said no, and I thought I'm going to say yes to drugs. And so there was a little party at my fraternity house, and I was there with my girlfriend, my physical girlfriend, not the girlfriend I was about to meet. And there were it was myself and my girlfriend, and then 3 other couples. So if my calculations are correct, that was 8 people. And we're sitting around a room, and music is playing, and I come into the room, and there is a mirror being passed around. Now, I've always remembered watching those anti-drug films that were so over the top when I was in elementary school and middle school and high school. And it was basically somebody tried weed or a drug one time, and then there was a quick montage where they were suddenly, just like their eyes were bugged out and they were junkies. And that didn't seem like that was something that could be possible. But in my case, it was. So this mirror full of cocaine is being passed around, and it goes to, so it goes to this woman, and she's doing a line, and she's very talkative. I'm thinking, God, she's so funny. What a delightful story. And it goes around to this person, and it's like, oh my God, he went there, and we're laughing. And then a song comes on, and we're all singing and rocking out. The mirror gets passed around. It's getting passed around again, a little further. I am finding these people as delightful as possible. My girlfriend, who had some experience with cocaine, she does some of it too. She's like, wow. And it's like, love you. And then it gets to me, and I do my 2 lines. And it was like, that's amazing. I feel great. And then the mirror takes another lap. And by it gets to the point of the second person in that room, a person I previously found to be Noel Coward. It was the Algonquin Round Table. I couldn't wait to hear his story. All that's going on in my mind is, why won't he shut the fuck up and keep moving that mirror? It took 2 people. By the time it gets to this woman, who I previously thought was like the Dorothy Parker of our mirrored round table, I thought, this fucking bitch is doing more than 2 lines. There's going to be nothing left for me. And thus began, even though I didn't know it at the time, I was addicted to this person, this white powdery person, and thought about her quite a bit. Now, we were in a very, she was an abusive relationship, because she was expensive to take out. And I was a college student. And then shortly after that, I was, a struggling writer, comedian. And so we would have the occasional booty call in my early 20s, but it was never anything serious. And I'd always miss her. Like the minute she left, I'd be like, oh God, but I would get over it. And then I got some success, and I met a mutual friend who, for the moment, we'll call my dealer. And when money and a convenient dealer came to me at about age 28, there was no turning back. And I was now working as a sitcom writer, and it was the kind of drug that cocaine was something I could hide in terms of my personality, because I'm very up. Like if I were taking heroin, everybody would know it. Like I couldn't hide heroin, or I couldn't hide weed, or I couldn't hide anything, alcohol, anything that depressed me. But something that lifted me up, that was a secret affair. I was able to hide from everybody, including my fiance. And then when she became my wife, and including the staff of many a sitcom. Because frankly, the idea of being wired on a sitcom writing staff at 12 midnight, which you'd often stay, and to still be energized and telling jokes, that was a plus. No one was going to question it. And I discovered that as good a writer as I think I am, or as good a, I am a great liar. Like, I was able to just hide it in a way that I've learned that junkies all over the world who are successful junkies and can maintain a habit for a very long time are good at. And I did until I couldn't anymore. And I remember, but even like, it developed in a way like this. This is how I would say this habit developed. So I was at like, oh, I'll do a gram every 2 days of cocaine. And then I just got in my head, it's like, well, you have to make this trip back to your dealer. Just buy the 2 grams and then you go back in another couple of days. And you're not an addict, by the way. You're not an addict. So I would do the 2 grams. I'd buy the 2 grams for those 2 days. But inevitably, I would do those 2 grams in one day. So then I thought, well, let's just not be stupid about it. Let's do 3 grams and let's just worry about it. And that's all we're going to do. And I stayed at that level for a while. And then, but I would be running out and it's like, oh, you know what? Let's save ourselves a trip. We'll do 4. And anyway, at the end, for the last 7 months of this adventure, I was doing 5 grams a day. And if you know, that's more, it's like almost 2 8-balls a day. And it's like, that's the stuff like that just like that kills professional athletes. And for some reason, something looked over and it didn't kill me. But I still did not really believe I was an addict in my head. Like, I could not fathom it. And I had a lot of can-do spirit because in the middle of, toward the end of this adventure, and you might think in the anecdote I'm about to tell you that this would mark, obviously, the end of the adventure. Unfortunately, this 3 more months of the adventure happened. But what I had noticed was I was eating or drinking liquid one day, and I noticed some of that was coming out of my nose. And I noticed that actually the tone of my voice felt weird. So I felt around in the roof of my mouth and I noticed, holy cow, I have burnt a hole in the roof of my mouth, from the roof of my mouth through my nasal cavities. That is what you would call a wake-up call to somebody who is not an addict. But to me, that's just a problem to be solved. So for the next couple months, industrious as I was, I would plug that hole with gum. I used gum, and that worked for a very long time, for months. And God, it was really kind of a sick time for me. And finally, I started to realize that I was screwed. I'm spending $500 a day. My mouth is falling apart. And now people are starting to understand that even the writers, I was working on a show called Just Shoot Me, and I wanted to be shocked. But even they were looking at me like, what's wrong with him? He doesn't seem well. I was one of those people. And my superpower was I could get fat on cocaine. That's my superpower. I wouldn't eat for a while, but then when I'd come down, I would just eat nothing but junk food and then come in. Also, another added point, which my wife had given birth to twins. And when she gave birth, I said, that's it, no more cocaine. And that was a promise I kept for 36 hours and then did more cocaine. But she, because you'd have to be up at night with the girls, I was like, oh, honey, I'll take them. And I would just do cocaine. So Father of the Year, all of this. Eventually, I just couldn't hide the money. That was the thing I couldn't hide. And I got busted by my wife and my business manager, and I did not even put up a fight. She called me. I was in the Just Shoot Me writer's room. I saw I had this call. I took it. I left the Just Shoot Me writer's room, and I didn't come back for a month while I was in rehab. And then no one knew what had happened. I called my lawyer. I called all these people, and they said not to tell. Everybody thought I had died, but I had gotten better. The rehab took, and even, it's funny because I didn't go to rehab for a few days till it was my twins' first Halloween, which I slept through, and but that had been the longest time. I'd gone 3 days without cocaine. So frankly, I thought, okay, I've kicked it. Now I'm just going to rehab for penance for my wife. And it really took me a week into rehab to realize, holy shit, I am a full-blown addict and I get addicted to everything. I mean, thank God not alcohol or things that are, there are things I miss that I'm not addicted to, but food and, everything. And but yeah, and it's been 20 something years, 22 years. And be honest, I still think about her, still wonder how she's doing. And my heart goes out to anybody who's in this pandemic. It's a really, I've talked to enough people who have texted old boyfriends and girlfriends they shouldn't have because they're lonely. And the temptation is great for all of us. And I just urge you all to stay strong, and I will stay strong with you. That's my story.
Wow. All right. Hey, Zuker.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. I seriously had no idea.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing, amazingly, I will stay strong. Thank you. It's an amazing, it's been amazing. Like, I haven't really thought about cocaine on a regular basis for a long time, but I noticed it coming up for me like in these times. And I've talked to people who are addicted to anything. I know a lot of alcoholics who are off the wagon. I know a lot of people, pumping it up there. So the good thing is for people is there's a lot of support on Zoom, and you should seek it out.
Well, that's interesting. Now, the question is, what kind of gum did you use to plug the hole in your mouth?
Well, it was a very specific gum. So I felt like, because I was being healthy, so sugar is a corrosive. So I would use extra sugar-free, like a preferably fruity gum. Usually took about 2 pieces, chew it, pop it up there. I learned to kind of secure it up there, talk with it, change out that gum when I ate. I was very industrious. I was the MacGyver of junkies.
So did food come out your nose?
It could. Yes, it could. I still wear like a little piece to block that hole.
Please don't show us your little piece.
I won't show you my little piece. That's something very intimate. That's something between, 2 people in a committed relationship.
But that red Solo cup, that's rocking.
Yeah, I don't want to do dishes.
Guys, listen, I know, that's so true. I need so many paper plates because
It's the worst.
Too many dishes.
Yes.
True.
Thanks, Todd, for that note, by the way.
See you in a little while on Story Smash. You guys, I so encourage you to stick around because Story Smash is en fuego. I mean, it is really super fun. So stick around, and also you can play. It's an all play. All right, you guys, we've got one more storyteller for you tonight. And this girl is so special to me because, number one, we share the same birthday. Exactly, January 7th. Me, Lauri, Fraser, Ed Krasnick, Katie Couric, and Nicolas Cage. How about that? Who do you share a birthday with? Put it in the chat right now. That's right. Go ahead and put it in the chat. It'll be crazy. We'll be wacky. We'll all answer the question, who do you share a celebrity birthday with? All right, you guys. She's coming up right now. Check this out. This woman has worked on countless animation projects spanning film, TV series, commercial, and video games as a voiceover actor. I point to my throat. This is where the voice comes in. This girl, her variations of her voice can be heard as Marie Antoinette in Peabody and Sherman, as Mrs. Olsen in Olaf's Frozen Adventure. I gotta tell my daughter that. As both of the characters, Rocky and Natasha in one of the Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and as Rocky J. Squirrel right now for the Geico Insurance Company. How about that? Anyway, you guys, she's fabulous. You're gonna love her so much. Welcome, my Capricorn twin, Lauri Fraser. Yay!
Dean. Oh, okay. Hey there. So, oh gosh, I hate to break your heart, but we're almost the Capricorn twin. I don't know, am I on? Am I on? Yeah. Anyone? Okay. Anyway, it's the 10th, but it's so close. Are you there?
Well, that sucks, man. How come I thought it was the 7th?
I don't know, but it's okay. It's so close. Listen, these are for you because of your 10th anniversary. And so happy anniversary. They're beautiful and I'm going to enjoy them for you because I can't give them to you. But anyway, this is a happy, good for you. It is a big feat producing a show for 10 years and plus, and you do everything. You wear all the hats and you're the actress, you're the writer, you're everything. And I really think, that's my hat's off to you. I know how hard.
Lauri, Fraser.
Yeah. So and all the storytellers. Wow, really honored to be here. Thank you. Thanks for your vulnerability and wow, so many stories. Okay, I'll just get to it. My story is called "My Frisky Father." It's not wrong for my dad to tell about the woman who comes into his room and wants to have sex with him morning, noon, and night. It's not wrong for my dad to say that a woman reached down his pants and said, "You'll do." It's not wrong for his assisted living to turn into planet porn. But telling me, his daughter, about it, well, that's just wrong. Yes, those were his exact words. "She reached into my pants." He's 87 years old. I've never heard my dad utter a cuss word, let alone about sex. I mean, I thought it was immaculate conception that put us 3 kids on the planet. But my parents were sexy, a couple. They were sexy. And my dad put my sexy mother on a pedestal. Although I don't think he ever came up to visit. Catch my drift? Anyway, now suddenly out of nowhere, I am turning 50 shades of red as I drive my father, the Don Juan of assisted living, to Marina del Rey for some fresh air. I'm about to eject myself right out of the sunroof. When I question him about the woman, he changes the subject to the marina. "Who are you?" "Lauri." "Who are you taking?" "Hugo." "Where are you taking him?" "The marina and Taco Bell." We go there a lot. We go to the harbor by the jetty. It's alive, it's alive. The boats, the planes taking off, the dogs, the people, alive with life. Unlike the assisted living place that my dad calls home, where death lurks disguised as a hot meal or chair exercises with Vicky, where everything is the same, the salutations. "Hi, Hugo, how are you? Are you fantastic?" Fantastic, that's one of his most used sayings. Same, same, same. So we go to the same marina where we park in pretty much the same place, and then everything changes. Everything's different. The view's different. The current is different. The dogs and the people are different. And my dad is the same and yet different. He tells me the same stories with the same intonations and usually laughs at the same places, but it's new to him. He's so happy to be out. He's so happy to be telling me the same stories. As we both look out at the active harbor, I'm almost a silent partner in my dad's life. And I want it to be more, and yet it's okay how it is. My dad is the consummate narcissist. Have you ever been with a narcissist? It is fantastic. I mean, it's the most fun ride because they live in the moment. And if you are in that moment, there's no better place to be. Just don't leave to go to the bathroom or they might leave without you. When I was little, we went to the Pomona Fair and my dad lost me in the first 10 minutes. Oh, he found me, thank God, at the end of the day. And luckily, I had forgotten that I was scared because we went to get pizza. And he told me stories about his wonderful day at the fair and the amazing people that he met. My father was always meeting amazing people. "Wow, look at that boat, Dad. I used to have a boat," says the narcissist. Then he goes into one of his boat stories. "Hey, Dad, were you ever in the service?" "I was in the Navy." And then he goes into one of his Navy stories. We drive past a billboard with a guy in a tuxedo. "I used to have a tuxedo." "Yes." "Yes, I was on a cruise ship." "Yes," he says, "and I was standing in the dining room and a woman looked at me in my magnificent tuxedo and she went like this. And I walked over to her and she said, 'Waiter, can we have some rolls, please?'" I said, "Well, what'd you do?" "I got her some rolls. They're pretty good, so I put a couple in my pocket for myself." Well, sometimes, I'll start a favorite song. Okay, with the narcissist. My part. Oh, his part. It ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. So how in the heck can I wash my neck if it ain't gonna rain no more? My part. Oh, his part. The rich man rides the automobile. The poor man takes the train. The hobo takes the railroad track. But yet they're just the same. Oh. We go back to the place, where he stays. And they keep a log. Name, Lauri. Who are you taking? Hugo. Where are you taking him? Go-kart riding on the Santa Monica Pier in Taco Bell. He loves Taco Bell. So that's really interesting. Okay. He loves go-kart riding. Anyways, he was a health fanatic for the most of the years of my life, but he fell and he hit his head 9 years ago. So was it the hit on the head? Was it a hairline stroke that we didn't catch? Or maybe it was a little bit of dementia, but whatever it was, he's missing a few marbles, I'd like to be missing the same ones when I get to be his age. Ah, wow. So one day he starts eating junk food. He loves junk food. He's still a vegetarian of 60 years, but he loves his Taco Bell tostada. So I go to pick him up the other day for a walk. Every time I go in there, I get sad. Not Taco Bell, the assisted living place. And, the place reeks of old people wearing out their skin and what's left of it and what's left of their wit and wisdom, really. And I just don't want him to rot in there, and he will if nobody takes him out. I mean, my mom died in there, not Taco Bell. But anyway, so name, Lauri. Who are you taking? Hugo. Where are you going? Bungee jumping and Taco Bell. Anyways, I go into, some of these, the people in the home, they're in the front area, and they're the couple of people that still have their minds, So, it's, hey, where are you going? Are you going someplace? Oh my God, look at her hair. It's just like his. Help me. Don't worry about her. Do they have coffee ice cream? My dad thinks this place is wonderful. I'm happy for him. I'm about to explode, okay? He looks at me and he says, you look fantastic. My dad is never said that. He's a pretty critical guy, and I've never heard him say that. Yours is gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Like a parrot, he starts to go off. And all of a sudden I notice he's not looking at me, he's looking at a reflection in the mirror. He's looking at himself, and I realize he doesn't even know I'm there. He's like a narcissistic parrot. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's just, I have to chuckle to myself, Sometimes watching him is like watching a movie, a character in a movie, but it's not. He's my dad. So he's a narcissist. He's genuine. So he's, and at this point, listen, he could be a real shit to be around, but he's not. Who are you taking? Hugo, where? Skydiving and Taco Bell. The latest is that he's been getting a little frisky with some of the women in that home. Oh, the manager asked me if I could take him out and get him a little medication to take care of the problem. I said, are you high? Take my father out and give him medication to squelch his virility when he still thinks he has it? I don't think so. She says some of the women were complaining. Oh, really? Maybe they're complaining because he didn't pick them. The guy's the only guy left in there that still has his hair, that his gut doesn't topple over his pants, and he has a great disposition. The guy's always happy. Now I know why. There's a lady reaching her hand down his pants every day. Oh, man. Anyways, the latest thing is that he's getting married. Oh, yes. He has met this woman. She's the richest woman in the Northern Hemisphere. Oh, really? The Northern Hemisphere? Wow, that's a lot bigger than Westwood, eh? Yes. She makes $10 million and I make $2 million, so we won't starve. That's another thing. He thinks he's rich. He tells everyone, I have so much money, I won't even live long enough to spend it. So he has created this perfectly full life that is a fantasy that it makes him wonderfully happy. And it's the fantasy that he never had, that every man wants, really. That's what 91-year-old June told me after I finished telling her this story, and then she wet her pants laughing. Anyway, she's sending for me, he says. Really? Oh, her chauffeur is going to come and pick you up? Oh, yes. Well, you better write me a note. What? Well, you better write me a note, so I can know where to bring your socks and your goodies and treats that I get you. Oh, no, she has a full staff. I will need nothing. She just wants to have sex with me morning, noon, and night. Well, what's her name? I don't know. You don't know her name? What's in a name? She's the richest woman in the Northern Hemisphere. Who are you? Who are you taking? Where are you going? Big game hunting and Taco Bell. Do they even read the log? Quick, Dad, get in the car before you get any more death dust on you. Is that Mother's car? Yep. What'd you do, steal it? Yep. I figure she won't need it. Nope, she's in heaven waiting for me. Yeah, well, don't get any bright ideas. Oh, I'm not going for another 10 years. My dad, taking him out, did cramp my style today. I had to give up sacrifice some of my very important day. And you know what? It was worth it. Because even though he isn't all here, I'm here. And an hour and a half with my dad was worth years that I didn't have with him. Years thanks to the 60s, 70s, and part of the 80s when I wasn't all here. We did.
And pitched a product, and then you won.
Yeah, we did.
So tell us about it.
Yeah, that was Hugo's product. That was my dad's legacy. Hugo's amazing tape. It was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, except recently put on a swimsuit. But that was pretty scary. But it was really, it was great. It was a wonderful, fantastic, painfully awful, terrible, excruciating, delicious, unbelievable experience. Yeah, it's great.
What is going on with this tape? I mean, why?
What's going on with the tape? It's who knows. They're supposed to bring it out. It is distributed by somebody, and I don't really know what the Sharks are doing. But I'm out of the picture, so they didn't say.
Is it Scotch tape? I mean, I don't.
Oh no, Hugo's amazing tape is wonderful. Okay, here's what it is. It is. I have it right here, a piece. I never am without a piece of amazing tape, okay? This is amazing tape. Now, this is a very dusty piece of amazing tape. So you can rinse off amazing tape sticks to nothing but itself. It's gentle enough to ship fine art without marring the surface, and it can tow a freaking car. It's very, very strong. You can Now, and if this was like masking tape or duct tape and you did this, it would be history. But it's amazing tape, so it goes right back to the way that it was. And what it does is it replaces rubber bands, Velcro, and all kinds of things. Anyway, you wrap things with it. It's fabulous. So I wrap it, and once you wrap it once and sticks to itself, it will not come apart for years. It just stays like this. Now, when you want to take it apart, you find the ends and you just, okay? So I can send you a link. Anyway.
Put it in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Story Smash is sponsored by Hugo's Amazing Tape.
Anyway, sticks to nothing but itself, and it's fabulous. And I never throw it away. I just have pieces all over the house. I've just held together everything, actually including a relationship.
That's very good. Congratulations. But let me ask you, can I just get personal? How much money did they give you, or how does that go down?
Oh, they gave us $100,000 for the whole company. Now, let me tell you what that does. After you split it with your sister, the accountants, the attorneys, this guy, that guy, this guy, I had enough to go to that fancy hotel for a cafe latte, but I couldn't afford to park.
Was that at Shutters or something?
Yeah, something like that. It was, but you know what? It was It was great. And I had a great time, with my sister, which was really good too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, Lauri Fraser.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we're going to wrap it up here for another story-worthy hour of power. We're here every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And now following the show, coming up in just a few minutes, we've got Story Smash, the storytelling game show. It's such a blast. I'm so excited for you guys to stick around and watch it and also play the game if you'd like. But before we move on, I do want to thank everybody who's on the show tonight, including Jason Love. Come on, everybody. Here we go. Where's Jason Love? And also Danny Zuker. Yay! And also,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you. And Stuart Jacobson. Stuart Jacobson, you're amazing. Thank
Hey,
you.
it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. And the amazing Lauri Fraser. How great was she? Just great. I'm so thrilled to have all of you guys as my friends and just amazing people in my life. So thank you guys, really, for sharing everything.
Thank you,
sharing your
guys.
stories tonight,
Thank
you guys.
you.
Thank you. All right, you guys, on behalf of all of these guys and myself, Christine Blackburn, I want to say thank you so much for watching us, and we'll see you next week.
I place my own bets and I make my own deals. So if you're following me, you better make clear, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. If you're looking for heaven, baby, the line forms to the rear, and you can follow me, follow me. I'll take you down to the river. Follow me, follow me. I'll keep you silent.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast.